bread. Ross Funeral Home announces that the services of Mrs. Pearl Bradshaw was held today at 11 a.m. at the First AME Church. Services for Mrs. Bessie Blatso of Oklahoma City was held at 1 p.m. at the New Hope Baptist Church. This is a weekend, a big weekend, because this is a weekend that we celebrate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King. And Rainbow Bread is happy to be a part of this great celebration. The staff of the Enterprise Square Place, where you can save money, gasoline, and time. Oh, what a deal you will get when you go to 4901 North Martin Luther King Avenue. It's called Enterprise Square Place. It's first class, and you are safe at last at Enterprise Square Place, 4901 North Martin Luther King Avenue. You may pay your utility bills. You may make use of a bona fide United States Post Office. And you can enjoy the security that comes with knowing that your clothes will be taken care of. And they will be taken care of at Sherry's Cleaners. There's a laundromat, and certainly on Mondays and Thursdays they furnish free transportation for senior citizens from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m. You may call 427-9302. The people at the Enterprise Square Place say wherever you are, have a happy holiday. Burger Brothers is located at 412 South Harvey here in Oklahoma City. The telephone is 232-7511. Groceries and meat for less, everyday low prices. Plus weekend specials, fresh vegetables and fruit, and the new shopping hours are available for your convenience. Today, I would like for you to know the people that are making this program possible, because we will give you the opportunity to hear the words of Dr. Martin Luther King. If we do not give you a chance to hear Dr. Martin Luther King, who will? If we don't sing our songs, who will? Are we so audio addict until now? Everything we have to do what everybody else is doing. Well, I've noticed on the radios and TVs this celebration, we do not have the many words of Dr. Martin Luther King that we have had previously. Why? Would they like for us to forget Martin Luther King? Well, we aren't going to let you forget it, because today I will give you that opportunity to hear for yourself Dr. Martin Luther King's words. The place is a place to go. The place is at 3407 North Villa here in Oklahoma City. It's open every day. On weekdays, 10 a.m. to 7 p.m. and on Sundays from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. The place specializes in sample designers' clothes, size 1 to 44, prices that women can afford. It's a resale shop, nothing but the best. 100% silks, minks, leather, ultra suedes, minks, and you name it, it's here. All phases of jewelry, shoes, sweaters, and dresses. Yes, the place, 3407 North Villa here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. There will be a big celebration at the King Elementary School on January the 20th, 1987. There will be a parade at 10 o'clock, and it will last to 11:15. At 11:15, there will be a luncheon that will conclude at 12:20. At 1 o'clock, from 1 to 2:30 p.m., there will be a program in the auditorium. And 6:30 p.m. to 8 o'clock p.m., there will be Martin Luther King's life story in song with choirs of the various churches. The Big Ebony Bowl will be held, that's sponsored by the Kappa Alpha Psi Fraternity in Oklahoma City, will be held next Saturday at 2 o'clock at the Tabernacle Baptist Church here in Oklahoma City. Competing for awards will be high school students from Tabernacle Baptist Church, Mount Olive Baptist Church, St. Mary's CME Church, St. John's Missionary Baptist Church, First AME Church, the 5th Street Baptist Church, East 6th Street Christian Church, and the Avery Chapel AME Church. The program that you're about to hear today is being made possible by the Watkins Stevens Skyview Convalescent Nursing Home located at 2200 Coltrane Road. The telephone number is 427-1322. It's a clean, modern home for the sick and aged. With 24 hours nursing service, Mrs. Betty Ari Lynch is the administrator. Mrs. Estella Bug is the director of nursing. That's all at the Watkins Stevens Skyview Nursing Home, that's known for its hot food with its hot food cart. Dr. A.L. Dow would like for you to call him if you're having any kind of eye trouble. That's at 427-5271. Call Dr. A.L. Dow, your optometrist. Happy Martin Luther King's Day. Come from the Economy Bingo House located at 3613 North Everett Street here in Oklahoma City. You can play bingo every night except Sunday night. That's at the Economy Bingo House here in Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. As we talk about Martin Luther King, and let's talk about his dream, because he was able to express the dreams and aspirations of a people. And speaking of a dream, Sir Charles had a dream that he would make you a suit. Sir Charles the Tailor, located at 6225 Southeast to 15th Street here in Oklahoma City. The telephone number is 733-7600. The M&W Welding Company, 2601 Northeast 23rd Street, invites you to come out and look at the burglar bar. The telephone number is 424-1482. I'd like to talk about something new because we do have a new business in Oklahoma City. It's a new business. It's a complete automobile repair car shop. It's now open for business with certified mechanics on duty. They sell used tires and will guarantee you full service. Don't you like to go to a service station where you can get the full service? They have all kinds of repairs, from minor repairs to major repairs with free estimates. All labor guaranteed, 24-hour service call. You may call from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. at 427-6139. After 6 o'clock p.m., 3404879. They are located at 3400 North Kelly in Oklahoma City. You will see the beautiful sign which says Northeast APCO. Mr. Abby Fitz is the owner and manager. Why don't you go by and tell Abby how much you appreciate his going into business? Yes, this will be a very busy weekend for Brother President, the story of Martin Luther King Jr. The story that was filmed here in Oklahoma City is being received by people all over the country. It's being shown today in Midland, Texas. Tomorrow will be shown in Idabel, Oklahoma. And on Monday it will be shown in Texarkana, Texas at the Federal Penitentiary. This is Clara Luper asking you to be sure and tell your children about Martin Luther King Jr. Not only about Martin Luther King Jr., but teach your children about your people, about our people. Tell them about the strength of a people that helped to build this nation. If we don't tell this story, who will? And that's why on Monday at exactly 2:30 p.m. I shall present to you a Martin Luther King special. Be sure and call one friend and tell your friends that Clara is doing a special just for you and for them on Monday. This special is very special, and I want you to hear Martin Luther King's words. If we don't tell his story, who will? We have on the east side of Oklahoma City too many people involved in crime. We have now prepared for a search party that's surveying the area right off 42nd and Kelly, where someone has been coming in stripping cars. I would like to say to our young people and the old people that are buying stolen parts and stolen goods, that you're talking about Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King never dreamed of our people being thieves and thugs. He dreamed of a better day and died for a better day. And if you really like Dr. King, and if you really want to show that you are for real, please stay away from crime. It doesn't make any difference what you have. Remember, poverty is a temporary stage. And even though we don't have the money like other people, we do have our integrity and our honesty. Let us listen now to the words of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., which is brought to you by Bert and Calvin Luper, by Marilyn Hildred of the Allstate Insurance Company, your Allstate agent. And here, listen to his words, and be sure and tell our people that unless we tell our story, who will?
The children were dominated by the British Empire. And the Church of England never took a significant stand against colonialism. And I stood there in Westminster Abbey over the tombs of kings and queens that had been buried there. Yeah. And I said to myself, the church can die as a result of the judgment of God, as a result of refusing to stand up against evil. So often, the church has left men and women disappointed at midnight. Yeah. There are men who stand up in the pulpit and preach every Sunday. I'm speaking now of white preachers. And yet they can look at racial injustice and never open their mouths against it. We would have peace in this world today. We could have peace in this world today. The church would really take a stand against it. There are almost 1 billion Christians in the world. Never forget that. We got to go back to the fervor of the early church. Early Christians would not fight war. Stood up before Caesar and Caesar's household. Said, no, we will not fight war. Sometimes because they wouldn't obey the edicts of the Roman Empire, they were thrown into the lion's den. They were thrown on the chopping block. They went there with a hymn on their lips and praises to God, and they often went there smiling, and somebody would say, what is it that makes you so happy? Is it in your ecclesiastical machinery? No. Is it in your creedal system? No, it's not merely that. What is it then? We are happy and we are inspired because we love the brother, and that is what it is. We've got to recapture that. Now, I don't want to sound provincial and say that all of the problems are just the so-called white church. The Negro church has often left men and women disappointed at midnight. We have two types of Negro churches that leave men disappointed at midnight. One freezes up and the other one burns up. Now, the one that freezes up is that church, you know, that says it's a dignified church. And the preacher preaches a nice little essay on Sunday. And he's really afraid to get in his sermon and say it like he really means it and believes it. And then the choir is afraid to sing with meaning and power, and they don't sing Negro spirituals and gospel songs because that reminds them of their heritage. So they're busy trying to be, they're ashamed that they are black, and they're ashamed that their ancestral home was Africa. And so they major on trying to build a church that has no relationship whatsoever with their past. And then, of course, they boast about their members. They go on to tell you, if you go there, we have so many doctors, we have so many lawyers, and we have so many school teachers, and we have so many businessmen. And of course, it's good for all of these people to be in church, all professional people to go to church. But you see, they say it as if the other people don't count. The other people who didn't get to be a doctor, a lawyer, a teacher, they talk like the other people don't count. Now there's another church that burns up. Now in this church, the emphasis is on muscularity rather than spirituality. And in this kind of church, people have more religion in their hands and feet than they have in their hearts and souls. In this church, sometimes even the pastor doesn't prepare any sermon to preach. He just depends on his voice, on volume, not content. And the people leave on Sunday and say, you know, we had a great service today, and the preacher just preached this morning. And somebody said, what did he say? I don't know what he said, but he preached this morning. Now The danger of this kind of church is that people will play with God. The danger of this kind of church is that people will make religion irrelevant. It becomes merely emotionalism. Now, religion, when it is real, is emotional, as well as intellectually meaningful and respectable. But it is emotional. But the danger of this kind of religion is that the pastor and the members will have what Paul called a zeal of God, not according to knowledge. When I quoted that passage earlier, it said not only love the Lord thy God with all our heart, but it said with all our mind. The other danger of this kind of church is that everybody involved will become so caught up in the irrelevant that they will not be concerned about the day-to-day problems. It seems that I can hear the God of the universe saying, don't play with me and don't play with my people. It seems that I can hear the God of the universe speaking to the Negro church and the white church also. He's saying, my people are hungry. They're in need of bread. Don't play with me and don't play with them. They come at midnight seeking bread provided for. If you don't do that, I won't hear your beautiful answer. You can preach your eloquent sermons. You can pray your powerful prayers, but I won't hear any of them. Because your hands are full of blood. The thing that I'm concerned about is that you would let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. And if you want to know what it is that I require of you, it's simply this. Do justly, love mercy, and walk humbly with thy God. This is what I require. We must never leave men and women disappointed at midnight. Come on with me a little further, and I'm about to close out, but there are one or two other things I want to say. The interesting thing is that after that man knocked on that door, the man on the inside didn't open the door. The man on the outside kept knocking. The passage uses the big word, importunity. Importunity means persistence, perseverance. It means, to keep on keeping on. It means staying with it. And it says that man just kept knocking. Now, if you would allow me to use my imagination a minute, I'll tell you why he kept knocking. Well, he realized that there's some bread in that house. You see, if he had thought for 1 minute that there wasn't any bread in that house, he would have gone on to the next house. He wouldn't have been wasting his time around there after he had been disappointed if he had thought there was no bread there. But deep down within, that man knew that there was some bread in that house. No, this is what we must hear today as a church. This is what I want to leave with the men here this morning and all of the members. Mount Zion, you have the bread of life. Keep the bread fresh. Don't let it get stale because somebody is coming by here to try to find a little bread. Some young man disillusioned about life is going to come by here one day to try to get the bread of faith and the bread of hope. Keep it fresh. Some young person who has made a mistake in life, caught up in tragic guilt feelings, will come by here one day. Somebody who's made a mistake, some young person who tried to drown the guilt by finding an answer elsewhere. They tried to find it in the nightclub. They didn't find it there. Tried to find it in excessive drink, they didn't find it there. They tried to find it in sex promiscuity, they didn't find it there. But one day they're coming by here. wanting the bread of forgiveness, and you've got to keep it fresh enough to let them know that there is a fountain filled with blood drawn from Emmanuel's veins. Keep the bread fresh. One day some old person is coming by, someone who has been through the morning of childhood and the noon of adulthood, and now they're moving toward the evening of life. And they're worried about bad health, they're worried about death. They need a little bread to tide them over. One day they're coming by. Keep the bread fresh enough to let them know. They don't have to worry about death if they love God. Keep the bread fresh enough to let them know that death is not a period which ends this great sentence of life, but a comma that punctuates it to more loftier significance. Keep the bread fresh enough to let them know that death is not a blind alley that leads the human race into a state of nothingness, but an open door that leads men into life eternal. Keep the bread fresh enough to cry out one day, I am persuaded that neither life nor death, angels nor principalities, things present nor things to come, can separate us from the love of God which is in Christ Jesus our Lord. Keep the bread fresh. We have the bread of life in the church. It is our job to keep it fresh. I'm coming on home now, but I don't want to sit down for fear you may go away despondent. I've talked about midnight, talked about darkness. And my last point is that man who knocked on the door was just trying to get enough bread to tide him over until the dawn. He knew that morning would come. And I want to leave you this morning letting you know that however dark it is now, morning will come. Therefore, I'm not worried about tomorrow. There is a pendulum swinging in life, I guess. It goes between darkness and light, midnight and morning. And our slave foreparents taught us so much. And that beautiful sorrow songs, one of which you sang so beautifully this morning. They looked at the midnight surrounding their days. They knew that there was sorrow and agony and hurt all around. When they thought about midnight, they would sing, nobody knows the trouble I see. Nobody knows but Jesus. But pretty soon, something reminded them that morning was coming. They started singing, I'm so glad that trouble don't last always. This is it, my friends. Yeah. I get kind of disillusioned about the race problem. I get worried about Alabama, and I get worried about Georgia, and I get worried about all of these other places, and I get worried about the white backlash. But then ever and again, I'll go back to Alabama. The boss says to me, God has not yet turned his world over to Governor Wallace. And I can hear another voice saying, the earth is the Lord's, and the fullness thereof. All right. Morning will come. My Lord. Centuries ago, Jeremiah, the great prophet, raised a very profound question. He looked at the inequities around, and he noticed a lot of things. He noticed the good people so often suffering and the evil people so often prospering. Jeremiah raised the question, is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Well, centuries later, our slave foreparents came along, and they too confronted the problems of life. They had nothing to look forward to morning after morning but the sizzling heat, the rawhide whip of the overseer, long rows of cotton. But they did an amazing thing. They looked back across the centuries And they took Jeremiah's question mark and straightened it into an exclamation point. And they could sing, there is a balm in Gilead to make the wounded whole. There is a balm in Gilead to heal the sin-sick soul. Then they came with another verse. Sometimes I feel discouraged. And I don't mind telling you this morning, sometimes I feel discouraged. Sometimes as I move about dealing with the race problem, I feel discouraged. Having to live every day under the threat of death, there are times that I feel discouraged. Living with all kinds of abuse and criticism and misunderstanding, I feel discouraged sometimes. I go on back and listen to all of that verse. Sometimes I feel discouraged and feel my works in vain, but then the Holy Spirit revives my soul again. There is a balm in Gilead. So I can sing that, and another song comes to me. I've seen the lightning flash. I've heard the thunder roll. I've felt sin breakers dashing, trying to conquer my soul. But I heard the voice of Jesus stand still to fight on. He promised never to leave me, never to leave me alone.
There you've heard it. Story of Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. This is a Clara Luper radio show, and this evening as I say goodbye to you wherever you are, I want you to enjoy Martin Luther King's Day. And I want you to celebrate as we celebrate Martin Luther King's birthday.